New Thought Media Network. We are a global broadcast network of positive music, media, and entertainment, inspiring humanity's evolution along the journey of enlightenment and creating a world of love, peace, empowerment, and prosperity for all. New Thought Media Network. Positively inspiring.
And hello there again, dear ones. Dr. Robert with you over here.
Michele Wadleigh here. Hello, good to be back.
Rev Z right here.
There we go. And this is New Thought Today here on the New Thought Media Network. Oh my God, it's the end of September. And the good news there is it means it's almost time for the ANTN retreat, but we'll talk about that later. Dr. Michele Wadleigh, Rev Jersey Girl, is back with us in the house. Now, she's a fairly regular here on this program, so you see her at least 3 or 4 times a year here on the program, and that's been going on for a while. So we're very grateful you're back with us, dear one. How have you been?
Life is interesting. I will just say it that way, and filled with twists and turns, and I'm growing because I'm required to grow.
Yes.
You either grow or you get blown over. So I'm choosing growth. I'm choosing expansion, and I'm choosing the life that I want, and not the life that would be dished out to me. So, and it takes a lot. It takes a lot to break patterns. It takes a lot. Have you noticed?
Yeah. But one thing I found that makes it a little bit more palatable, if you will, is to get into the flow. Because you talked about life, and that's all there is: life, eternal, and the very essence of the thing itself is to create and evolve. So if we get stagnant or stuck in any moment of evolutionary change for the greater consciousness of the universe, then we're going to have problems. And so we have to grow, and we have to give in to the flow, the whole thing about grace and surrender, and then also about just opening up. It'll happen.
Yeah, and for me, while I've been around a number of decades now, but I still feel like I have a lot of life inside of me. I'm not done. I'm not done creating. I'm not done writing books. I'm not done. And I do want to, and I know, I think I said this one other time here, and someone corrected me or told me who said it, but I want to leave life all used up. I want to go out in a blast, not quietly and timidly, but loud. I want to be that crazy old lady who doesn't care about anything other than being my authentic self. That's my wish, want, hope, and dream. So.
Well, I'll be there with you then. I like that, Michele. That is great, because we do have a common friend who I remember saying somewhere, I'm not gonna do the languishing in the thing. I'm not gonna do right. I wanna be active. I want to be involved. I want to be cognizant. And when my time is done, I just, like a light switch, I want to turn it off and be done with it.
Yeah.
And that's important, because as I heard you say, right, I've now officially been around this movement more than a couple of decades myself, and the common theme that I've seen is the willingness, the engagement with our own growth. People that don't do that don't seem to stick around. Actually, the people that are not the ones that you remember, are not the ones that get invited to this program, or not the ones that that are making the history of what New Thought is becoming. And what we're talking about here today is how it can be a beneficial event, activity, part of our lives. So it's important that we stay in that growth mindset in order to bring forward what's going to be necessary for the coming decades of this movement.
Yeah.
And as far as I'm concerned, we and our attitude and our knowing, even if we're just living life semi-full, we're doing a lot of good in the world. We're just going to do a lot of good in the world, and it won't be. What am I trying to say? Wherever I go, I want to practice no harm. I do want to practice no harm for sure. However, when people meet me, I want to know they met somebody a little bit different. And that's because of the stuff that we bring, right? And for me, part of that is to make sure that I've passed through we go through these gates of transformation and maturation, and it's part of what happens when we do our training, and we start the Science of Mind training, and we become a practitioner, and then a minister, and then we become ordained, and then some of us go on to get doctorates, however that looks in different organizations. And through each of those is a gate we pass through. And as far as I'm concerned, each of those gates requires us to show up in bigger, better and ways to exemplify what this teaching looks like. And I want to do that till the day I die.
Yeah.
Like I don't have
to. What I was going to say, what you describe in my mind is what the ancient ones, pick a culture, any culture, if it was ancient enough, they came from the perspective that there is this thing that evolves, right? There's energy, there's power, there's presence. And the question always becomes, how do we use it? How is it in us? How do we transform it, right? Because like you said, that transformation is what all the ancients were talked about. And they had rites of passage programs from before birth to after birth, right? So if somebody was known to be pregnant, they had a ritual. They had a way of coalescing energy to create the best. And they moved it all the way through until they went on the other side of this physical plane. But, again, as I think the wholeness of understanding that life is prime. Without life, nothing exists.
Yeah, and
Not
it's funny.
You would be conscious of anyway.
Right. And I know we're going to digress here for a second, but I love what you just said, because as a non-religious person, and I'm not, and I never have been religious, I've been spiritual my entire life. Science of Mind just happened to complement that and give me a platform, right? But I do miss, and I know that many people don't even want to hear the word God. Okay, I get it. I'm flexible. I don't have to have that word. However, something you just said, Z, is that I do wish that we as a movement had more rituals that we could depend upon. To celebrate the gates of life. I remember many years ago, my community was young yet, and we had some young people up and coming in the teen program, and that was back in the day. And I was influenced by bar mitzvahs and bat mitzvahs, and of course, I never want to what do you call appropriate someone else's traditions,
Yes.
but I am inspired by
Yeah.
them. And so I had developed this lovely thing for our teens, but it was going to be a thing where they self-announce their readiness. Like, I wish we had those traditions for our teens, for the crossover from the teens into the 20s, so that I mean, just like most of us in New Year's, most of us have some kind of ceremony, burning bowl or something, right? Like, I wish we had more of that. I
Well,
do. I wish we had more of that.
You was gonna say something, Robert?
No, go ahead, Z.
Yeah. So what I hear is, it's from my perspective, because I have been religious, if you will, and cultural at the same time. Born a Christian, converted to Islam, studied Egyptology and Afrocentricity, and then landed here in science of mind, or religious science, as I prefer to call it, which is what Ernest called it, because it's a way of looking at the world from the yin and yang, from the scientific and from the human realm, the spirit and human. And then how do we, I think, how do we, from my perspective, get to the point to where we believe that we are extensions of the Most High that have powers beyond, we've all experienced them. How do we find the rites of passage with the rituals that open up certain energy, right? Because we know the whole universe is energy, right? Just in different forms. So if you can, the rituals, as I've found out, are for creating energy vortexes, right? We talk about our auras and all of that stuff. When we walk in the room, I can feel something. That's all that is. But when you look at the masters, they took the time to do the rituals and do the study and do the work to be able to step into the room and everybody feel it.
Yeah. Yep. I can. My son, Margaret. Did I just cut you off again?
That's what we do on this show.
Okay.
It's all good.
I have a 4-month-old grandson who came early, so he's had some few little challenges, no big deal. But I couldn't convince my daughter, my new daughter-in-law, probably if it was just up to him, he might say yes. But I wanted to do a welcoming ceremony. Now, she grew up Catholic. She doesn't want to do a Catholic thing, and I knew that. And I think because that's what she was used to, she was afraid of what I might offer. And yet, many years ago, I created this beautiful baby welcoming where it involved everybody in the room. It's beautiful. And what it does is it has us all focus our love on that child and the family. And it speaks to us as a community helping to raise this child. And then, I don't know, it's beautiful. And so I don't know why we're talking about this, but however, I love it. And as a movement, as religious science, not to go unconscious. And I think that's the important thing. I think if things become so much tradition that we go unconscious, no.
Right.
But if we bring conscious energy to them, that's a beautiful thing. That's a beautiful thing.
Yes.
Yeah. I love this conversation because I agree. I don't think I've never seen a tradition or a ritual that is generally accepted across the whole movement, other than maybe a burning bowl. But we all do burning bowls differently too, right? We all have our own little, and we don't have the rites of passage. I've seen attempts, and I've seen some communities that can do that and don't do that. And I remember very clearly coming from a mid-sized center, if you will, at Salt Lake City, when I moved to Mile High and we became part of the Mile High community, in a much bigger community. And I don't even remember how long we had been there, but it came around that they were doing a different a christening, but not a christening. And and or a baptism. That's the word I'm looking for. Is a baptism, but without a baptismal font or going out to the river. And they did it with roses, and just so happened that Laura loved the idea. The kids were young enough. We thought it'd be great. And so we go to do this. And I get up on stage and I watch as everything's happening. And I watch Dr. Lloyd Barrett, who's still a very good friend, visited him recently in Las Vegas. And he's dipping roses in the water and handing them to Dr. Roger. And Dr. Roger is anointing everybody with their own rose in the water. And there it is, and they hand you the rose, and I watch, and I see, and I can watch Dr. Lloyd, and I can see that the rose that's about to be mine is like, he's getting it down there in the water deep, and he's filling this rose up with a ton of water, and it's like I was in a, it's almost as if I had been dunked in a baptismal, but the other side, and it was fun, and it creates memories, and it does create that type of longer term commitment within, I believe, to the philosophy, to the, I just went through all of this. This better be real stuff, right?
Yeah.
So, and for me in my life, that has, it's never been like the major turning point, but the story pops up once in a while to remind me that I made an inner commitment to follow and to live this philosophy.
Yes.
And at that time, through that specific community. And I would love to see us have more of that says, I'm here for new thought. I'm here, and I'm here for this community at this time. We move around a lot in this movement, I think is part of it too, that for some reason tends to not lend us to repeating these things.
Well, it's funny. I'm not a mover arounder. I'm a sticker and a stayer. But I know that I'm not, I'm not that common because I do hear people that, went to this center and that center and well, there's reasons for that too, but let's not go down that road. So what else you got? But
that ritual kept you in a state of readiness, right? To make that commitment.
Yeah.
Back, to what Michele was saying.
So, and this does kind of bring us around to the question that you were asking in the green room as we came in and got together and got started here today. Reverend Michele, is New Thought sometimes just too nice? Do we compromise our faith because we're trying to be?
Oh, that's a different question.
Because we're trying to be compulsively inclusive. Do we compromise our faith to not ruffle feathers, to not drive people out of the pews, to make ourselves?
When you say do we compromise it, I'm sensing more like, do I hide it? Do I not know how to stand in it? That's how it feels like. I see it more often. Like I used to say to my congregation, if I walk in your house, do I know what you believe? Right. Is there a Science of Mind textbook somewhere? Is there, how do I know that you are part of a movement of acceptance, of inclusivity, of believing in the law of possibility? What in your surroundings demonstrates that? And I think I think it's an important question. I think it's valuable because otherwise then we're vanilla ice cream. Some people like vanilla ice cream. It's okay, but it's vanilla. Right?
Yes.
I don't want just vanilla. I want the toppings and I want everything with it. And I probably don't even want vanilla. I probably want, a different flavor ice cream. But when we hide what we believe, when we don't necessarily, as a science of mind or religious science household, bless our food, even if it's a treatment, it doesn't have to be a superstition. It doesn't have to be because we are supposed to, but to enter into the consciousness of the meal that we're about to eat and bless it and bless the hands that made it and trust that our body temple, it receives this food and releases anything unnecessary for it. Now we're in the consciousness of it. And now that consciousness is just turned into a ritual that is affirming. But most of us don't, because and I wasn't something else. But what I see is that so many people are so busy running from what they were, they threw the baby out with the bathwater. And that goes back to some of the traditions and the rituals. And then it also makes us water down our strong opinions, because I think we make a mistake instead of having a conviction, we think that having that conviction is like we're angry. Well, I can have a conviction without being angry. And we spoke about this. Again.
There's this statement, and I think it's Alan Watts who made it, about this thing about the yin and yang, the so-called fight and no fight, right? He gives this example of saying that right now in everyone's body that's alive, the white blood cells are destroying anything and everything in its path so that it does not take the body out of balance.
Mm-hmm.
And so there is an ebb and flow of energy. We can call it whatever we want. The Taoists say, those who know do not say. Those who say do not know. You can't describe this. You have to experience this. And so when we start to describe, the words keep it moving. At some point, it's going to be opposed, and we're going to get left, right, up, down, horse, elephant, whatever. But we have to get to the understanding, Robert, and again, we talk about it all the time, life is prime. This energy, this thing, we've called it life. We could have called it whatever. We did that for convenience of communication. But there's an essence in the universe that is felt, that is live, that is growing. We have winter, spring, summer, and fall forever, right? As far as we know. So those people who you're talking about with faith, that's what they have tapped into. They understand that. And those who don't, then they still get stuck on the left or the right. My opinion.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So, and my 11-year-old granddaughter entered middle school this year. And anyone who has that age kid knows middle school is hard, and young middle school girls especially can be vile. I've seen it, I've heard it, the stories, and I was looking really concerned about her. And I thought to myself, I did not want to say to her, just be nice to everybody and they'll be nice to you. So instead I said to her, be prepared. Sometimes people are shitty. And all I want you to do is be prepared. Be prepared with something to say so they can't catch you off guard. And I didn't tell her to say anything mean. I didn't tell her to curse, of course not. But I said to her, you're going to look them dead in the eye and you're going to say, really? Is that all you got? Or something of that nature. And I wanted her prepared, because I don't want to produce her to be this sweet little girl who won't say anything and won't stand for herself. Oh, hell no. And that's when being nice becomes not okay. Nice is not okay if you're not standing for yourself and you're allowing yourself to be walked over, or if man. So we're at a football game the other day. This granddaughter was cheering. It's funny. She doesn't say she has a football game. She says she has a cheer game. I love it. Anyway. So we're there, and my grandson and my other two grandkids were there. And my grandson says to me, Nana, some girl over there She poked me twice and she kicked me. I got to be honest with you. I immediately put my stuff down and came out this other. And I said, where? And we're walking over. Now, in the meantime, his little friend that was with him let him know that this little girl has autism. And what I loved is that upon hearing that, he goes, oh, never mind, Nana, I didn't know. Like it changed him on the spot. But I know for me, I want them to know this other part of your Nana is coming up and I'm not standing for it. But I love that they recognized it and immediately was like, oh, I get it.
Yeah.
You know,
when you said you had a granddaughter going into middle school, my initial thought is, oh, we'll pray for her, right? Because I've had 2 kids go through middle school. Those with kids that have gone through that know that, yeah, there can be a lot going on. And there's a lot going on with us finding ourselves, with us, as you're talking about your granddaughter stepping into her truth. And it doesn't have to be nasty and it doesn't have to be ugly, but it does have to be direct
and strong. And I want to keep using that word strong.
Yeah. It's, I will not stand for this. You cannot, this is not okay with me or around me or to my people. And when we have a healthy understanding of that, I think it is very important here in this conversation to know how to balance when to bring out the grandma bear and when, no, it's okay, Grandma, I didn't have all the information.
Yeah, it was a great lesson. It was very sweet.
I'm smiling because it reminds me of my favorite song, Kenny Rogers, The Gambler. You got to know when to hold them. You got to know when to fold them. You got to know when to walk away. You got to know when to run. You never count your winnings while you're sitting at the table. There'll be time enough for counting when the deal is done. So you have to find your energy, your flow of life that says, when somebody steps to me, I'm going to step to them. And it may be this way today, and it may be that way tomorrow. I'm in the flow of this, but I will stand up for who I am, speak my truth, proclaim my value, because that's all everybody wants to be. Everybody at essence wants to have a value and be included in this transformation of life, because that's what we're programmed to be.
And you, both of you, you're ministers. You know the power of your word. And we are part of a grand community of people who know the power of our word. And the one thing I've learned is that the more I know the power of my word, the more powerful my word is. And so my wish, want, hope, and dream is that we use the power of that word, not to get over, not to become superior, but to stand for to have standards, not to have standards that are life producing, that promote communities where we feel safe. And right now, those standards in this country are being trampled on. And it is for, in my opinion, and I don't really care at this point. Thank you, God. I don't really care if it's agreed with that much, but it's time for us to use the power of our word to have a set of standards and say, oh, hell no, you can't trample on my Constitution. You can't trample on my rights. No. And I'm really, especially, what's the mayor's name in Chicago? I don't remember his name right now.
Maripol, something. It starts with him, I think. I forget his name.
But
they don't want to. They don't want.
What did you say, Z?
They don't want the troops to come in Chicago. The mayor, the governor, none of them. And you're talking about
The troops. I thought you said the troops. I'm like,
Missouri.
right, they're towing a
No,
line
no.
like Newsom. Newsom is putting a line in the sand. Have at it, folks. Yes. Put that line in the sand. And I'm not even trying to stand against anyone right now, except where rights that we have depended upon, that we've built this country upon, that you and I have believed in. And if it's going to change, let's do it the right way. Let's not do it from the top down, for Pete's sake. If it's not working, okay, let's do something. But not from the top down, not by the wave of someone's magical wand, for Pete's sake. Come on. Robert, you're muted, darling. You're muted.
New Thought has never believed in the magical wand. So, but we do need to take a break and let a couple of our sponsors say hello. And I want to dive into this much more deeply in our next session, folks. Please stay with us. Also want to acknowledge our dear friend, Practitioner Zoe. A world that works for everyone requires action, determination, and a willingness to engage and confront as necessary. I think you're hitting us on all cylinders there.
Oh, I didn't realize that was Zoe. Hi, Zoe.
Yeah, so watching commenting from one of his other pages. So we're going to take just a minute and a half, folks, to take a breather and a sip of water, but we're going to be right back with more on the New Thought Media Network and New Thought Today. Our special guest today, Reverend Dr. Michele Wadleigh. Please don't go away. We'll be right back.
The affiliated New Thought Network is pleased to present Deep Within, Mining Our Hidden Treasures. A hybrid spiritual retreat, October 6th through the 10th at Unity Village in Lee's Summit, Missouri. Featuring our opening keynote address from Reverend Michele Wadleigh. Our Tuesday evening Raise the Roof experience with Reverend Dr. Martha Creek. Special musical artist Ricky Byers. Wednesday features a morning keynote with Centers for Spiritual Living spiritual leader, Reverend Dr. Sonny Cantrell Smith, and evening keynotes from Reverend Dr. Robert Brzezinski and Reverend Tanya Beverly. Reverend Dr. Janine Burns rounds out our keynote speakers on Thursday morning. Visit www.antn.org for more details. Virtual and in-person registration is now available. We would love to see you there. ANTN, connecting the New Thought community through consciousness and love.
And we're back with more of New Thought Today here on the New Thought Media Network. Our guest, Reverend Dr. Michele Wadleigh, and we've been having this great conversation. If you're just joining us, this is getting deep already because we're in our eyeballs in it. And the central theme is, how does New Thought become more effective in the world? Because one of the things I heard just before the break was our tendency has been to remain silent. Our tendency has been maybe to answer the tough questions with a simple platitude, but it's easier to say, well, Ernest said this, or this is what we believe, but are we really standing voice to voice, as it were, with the voices right now that I see, and I think we're talking about, of hate, those voices that come from hate. And I saw a meme recently that said, when hate is loud, love must be louder. That we, And I really took to that because I think now more than ever, and we've been saying it for years, we're the ones we're waiting for, and we have the consciousness to change the world. And let's be loud about it. Let's be loud about how New Thought as a whole can support people's lives. It does support people's lives and gives people an opportunity rather than just to fall into the mindless parroting of rhetoric that we get, and you can see it online everywhere, that we get when we're not critically thinking, we're not diving into what's really going on here. It's a
Well, I think Michele has the answer in her background. There's some shadow work that needs to be done.
There it is. Yep.
And until that's done, nothing can happen, right? Because you have to be able to see from the perspective you just gave to operate from that perspective. And shadow stuff, the ugly stuff, the stinky stuff, nobody or very few people want to deal with that. And that's what this work is
anyway.
Coming home. Huh?
I said not enthusiastically anyway,
No, it's
you
the
know,
way you come home.
You know, Robert, you something you said sparked a feeling that and Z and I were both up in the up at SOAR, the conference, the retreat, and I arrived a few days early. You got taken in. The gentleman I knew, his name is Neil Williams, lovely Canadian, and his wife, Valda Williams, lovely couple. She's a practitioner and a coach. And they took me into their house and they took care of me. They picked me up at the airport. They treated me like I was the queen. They gave me this lovely room and they gave me a car. They lent me a car for 10 days. I was going to have to rent a car. They said, we have a car. Take care. I'm like, all right, thank you. Okay. So that was lovely. But the point is, I wasn't the only one staying there. A friend and a colleague, Julia Mattis, you might know her. She was also staying there. Yeah, Julia is a little bit everywhere, right? Everybody knows Julia. And she was also staying there. And the reason why I'm saying this is because between the four of us, we were having these alive conversations. And we weren't physically, but it was almost like we were walking around high-fiving each other, supporting each other, and empowering each other, being each other's cheerleader. I could have hung in that space for like months because we were so for our growth and our development. And there was nothing but love in the room, even with maybe some challenging conversations. I want to see those of us in this movement, in religious science and science of mind, whatever you want to call it, to have that practice in their homes. And sometimes we save the best of us for outside the home. And I think we need to not do that. But imagine if everywhere you went, someone could depend upon you for, yes, holding a stand, having a standard, standing for truth and what's right, but then seeing into your soul and believing in each other's soul. And I think that's what happens when we go to conferences. We drop the guard, we haven't dragged it in the room, and we're only seeing each other's soul. What a world it would be if we were more focused on each other's presence and soul than in the challenges. And I know for me here in my home, it's not always an easy practice, but I make sure I practice this in my home. And when you walk into my home, I'm sure you feel it. I know you feel it because I've gone out of my way to cultivate. Yeah.
Well, the thing that, go ahead, Robert, you're muted.
I can say even beyond your home, with you personally, I can feel it when I'm in your company. I can feel it when you're in the room. I can feel it when when you have brought your presence. Now, my understanding or my belief is that points directly towards the decades of commitment you have made to yourself, to this philosophy, to living this, to, as you were saying earlier, being able to prove when you walk in the house, when Michelle's in the room, you know it.
I hope so. That I've been working at that for a long. I don't. If you walk away from me and you're not feeling better about yourself, I did something wrong that day. I made an error.
Yeah.
And do I make them? Yeah, but not nearly like I used to. Not nearly. I'm looking for. I mean, we just went down a slightly different road again. I hope it's okay, but I'm looking to identify. It's almost like a different kind of namaste practice, and I just use this as a retreat. And like the innocence in me salutes and honors the innocence in you, because we all have that place of purity, and when we walk around righteous, we blind ourselves to that perfection in each other. I want to see us religious scientists be that wherever we go, people wonder, wow, what does he do? Wow, what does he know? Wow, who is he? What does he practice? Like, people should want more of what we have just by being in our company. Where we melt away the separation in the most beautiful way possible.
And you made something on the first half about our teaching, our study, our thing is about the power of the word, which means thought, creation, imagination, visualization, all these things that we boil down in one way or another sometimes to say intentions, but that's where the intentions come from. When we are able to establish a clear tonal resonance for whatever it is, anything and everything like it will be drawn and will be vibrated. Just like I can speak in this audience, that old Is It Live on Memorex tape with Ella Fitzgerald, and she cracks the glass at a certain sound resonance. And for those who don't know Ella Fitzgerald, go look up jazz.
You come up with some funny memories.
but that's what I hear you saying. Everybody has to be in tune with who they are, so that they can be confident enough, strong enough, practice enough, ritualed enough, so that they cast out a tone, and anything like that tone will be drawn unto itself.
Yeah.
And then you get the symphonies of the universe, where those notes, those frequencies start making this life that works for all, this world that works for all, the rocks included. And then we'll have ups and downs, but there'll be low ups and high downs. You're going to have movement, or you're not living.
Yeah. I do this thing now when I do a Sunday talk. It's just a new tradition I started, and it goes back to certain rituals, right? I almost always now close every Sunday talk that I do with some kind of call and response that's pertinent to what it is that I was talking about. So if I'm talking about feeling worthy, every affirmation that the response is, I am worthy of all good and greater good. And then I say something else, and I want to change the room because I'm in it. I want to be that. And I want to know that those of us, when we gather in consciousness, that we become that point of consciousness that creates impact. And if you're not willing to do other things, that at least let's join in consciousness to shift what's going on in this country. And listen, folks, I don't care right or left. Let's just think about kindness and acceptance.
Yeah.
Come on. I mean, I have people who voted differently with one of my sons in my family. There's no part of me that's ever going to not love him. I'm never going to look at him, and because somehow he managed to vote that way, and he's not an a-hole, and he's not he's not racist, and he's not homophobic. So those things can all exist in one place, right? They can. But I'm not going to turn around and start not love him or not love the other members of my family that voted differently. I'm going to maintain my position and my opinions, but I'm going to do it with love, which is what you just said. Yeah. How do we change things if it's not with love?
Yep.
And as the saying goes, love is all there is.
Yep. When hate is
Another name
loud,
for
love
the
must be
divine.
louder.
Yeah.
And we have that opportunity, and I think we have that calling right now to face the events of our day and specifically what's happening in the world right now with greater love. Because I watched a speech today that turned my stomach, and I could have easily spent most of my day railing online against the person that gave that speech, and I could have railed online against the policies and the ideas and the perspectives shared. But at the end of the day, that's just double the airwaves for what I feel are a misuse of the law, a misrepresentation of how life really works. And I've got to be the avenue that shouts love more loudly. It brings a bit more of that to the world.
Yeah. And I don't want to leave the people like, yes, yes, yes. And I want to make that clear. It's yes, and I want to make sure that people that are marginalized know that that doesn't make me passive.
Right.
I'm not passive.
Right.
I ain't standing for this shit anymore.
Yes. I will.
I mean, at some point, you have to take your stand.
Yeah.
Yep. I'm really interested what's going to happen on October 18th with the next No Kings march and rally. The organizational concept of No Kings, however it's organized, and I don't know because I'm not in leadership or anything, but it seemed to mobilize a lot of people to be willing to come out and be seen and be heard and be counted. And so I'm really interested to see what's going to happen with this next one on October 18th and how we can influence that consciousness. And I shared back with the first one that while my wife and I marched, I was very clear that I was not out there yelling F so-and-so. I was not swearing down, and I did not join in those chants when that happened.
Yes.
But I joined in the chants that were, that not only were loving, but were the not neutral, that were affirmative in what we want to see.
Yep.
And I think we can be loud in our affirmations of what we want to see moving forward.
You know, I had a client, and last year I was coaching him, and he was telling me that he was showing up at the rallies when the leadership changed over. So I guess early was this year. And he told me how he showed up at the rallies, and he had he painted a chainsaw. That's what he did. He painted a chainsaw. He was in some kind of costume, and it was about cutting things down or something like that. And, you know, it was a little bit of a heavy message. Somebody I love dearly, and really he's in this movement, but he was feeling very strongly about the position. And I said to him, well, what's the message you want to leave in people's minds? Now, he also happens to be an amazing singer, songwriter, plays the guitar. He's beautiful. He's a beautiful being. And he really got what I said. And then the next time he showed up and he left his chainsaw at home and brought a guitar. And then he started singing songs, and people were joining in with his singing. So he focused on raising the vibration while at the rally. And he was like, oh, that's who I want to be. I want to lead that way. And I was so happy for him, because then he even felt better.
Yes.
Instead of walking around angry,
Yes.
he was walking around feeling on purpose. He was on purpose and
Yes.
doing it with love.
Yes.
So
We can't replace
And
those.
because it was a real energy, it affected a lot of people.
yeah.
And we can't replace hate with a little less hate. Right? We can't replace hate with a little less anger, with a little less of the, and again, let's come back to our premise that we're not going to replace those that hate with, oh, we're the nice guys.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We've got to be that transformative vibration, that transformative energy that says there is a place better than this for all of us.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Even those of you that might be screaming to tear it all down and burn it to the ground right now, I still know there's a better place for all of us.
No, yeah.
From there also.
Yeah. You know, and when you travel, I haven't traveled, I'm not that well traveled in this country. I've traveled a little bit, but the traveling that I do, I rarely I don't like to generalize. However, I can't tell you the last time I ran into someone who I thought was a complete idiot. More often than not, I find kindness. Like so I think sometimes we have these ideas, and we are being gaslighted with the brilliant marketing that's happening, because we're being marketed hatred. We're being marketed all these things, right? It's social media marketing. But if you go out and you drive across the country, can you find pockets of stuff? Yes, I know you can. But you're going to have to really look for them. Because more than not, most people are kind, and most people are helpful, and most people are welcoming.
Very true.
At least that's my experience. And unless you're in Canada, everybody in Canada is nice. They drive nice. Everybody is. Especially in Banff. Yeah, like, oh my God, these people are so nice.
That's another episode. So, and before we completely run out of time here this morning, folks, Reverend Michele, tell us a little bit more. What do you got going on? I believe there's a new edition of the.
Oh my God! Yes, thank you for asking me about it. Yeah, my new edition of my forgiveness book, which I happen to have right here. I wasn't even planning it. This is what the new one's going to look like. So we have the shadow book, which is this one, and the forgiveness book. And so this is coming out on November 11th. I will love all of you forever and ever if you pre-order this from anywhere, from any of your booksellers, especially Barnes & Noble. Barnes & Noble, Amazon, please pre-order it. My publisher would love to see my pre-orders. But the beautiful thing is I just recorded it also. So it's going to be on Audible. It wasn't easy. It's a workbook, so it was a little complicated, but it's on Audible. So that's happening. And I'm about to receive my third book for author editing. So that's coming out next June. There's going to be some changes on our websites. We're more focused, and we're going to funnel everything into a tighter, so it's not so confusing, because I have two different websites, so we're going to be cleaning everything up. So there's a lot. That's where everything is going to land there on my Michele Wadleigh page. Yep.
I love that picture of you, by the way.
Oh, that is the Jewish temple where they're functioning now. That's the temple, and that podium, which we don't have currently there. It's in storage. That podium was handmade for me by my nephew and his company. Handmade, like literally handmade. No nails. No, it was like beautifully put together. I missed that thing. I don't have a center right now to place it, but
And you know what? I wanted to say this earlier when you spoke about Banff, but it reminds me now when you talk about the creativity of your family there. In that, in Banff, we were at that Center for Arts and Culture or Creativity, right? So there
yes.
was a band, some musical residents that had been there for a month teaching young people. We were there with a spiritual conference, and then there was another math group that was studying 3D geometry, and that, and then we'd all meet for lunch and or whatever, and the interaction was just great, which is
Yeah.
the magic of creating community and the craftsmanship that no longer exists because we don't have those kind of spaces to teach it.
Yeah. Yeah. It was beautiful. It was a beautiful experience. Yeah.
Folks,
Absolutely.
we're going to take one more real quick break and say thank you to our organizational sponsors and individual donors, but we're not done with Reb Jersey Girl just yet. We're going to come back with our final thoughts, so stay with us. We'll be back in just a moment. Please help us say thank you to our organizational sponsors, including the Hefferland Foundation, Affiliated New Thought Network, International New Thought Alliance, Science of Mind Archives and Library Foundation, Center for Spiritual Living Denver, Center for Spiritual Living Midtown, New Thought Philadelphia, Planned Happiness Institute, Summit Center for Spiritual Living, One Heart Retreats, Center for Spiritual Living on the Lake, Unity Kitchener, Unity Spiritual Center Ottawa, Om Center for Spiritual Living, Satya Center, Begin Within Ministries, Center for Spiritual Living North Jersey, Unity of Savannah, and the Center for Spiritual Living Seattle, as well as all of our individual donors. Thank you for being part of the New Thought Media Network. Please like, share, and subscribe. New Thought Media Network, positively inspiring. And we're back with more of New Thought today here on the New Thought Media Network. Our guest has been Reverend Dr. Michele Wadleigh, and we are so grateful that you've been with us. If you're just joining us or somehow find the end of this, well, go back and check it out from the beginning. I think you'll be inspired and find some good stuff. But let's get into our final thoughts and wrap this up. Rev Z, final thoughts, sir.
Well, yes. I hope I don't steal Reverend Michelle's thunder, but this whole idea of ritual and rites of passage is, I think we have to tap back into that. The different stages of life and different stages of understanding and energy and all of that. So the more we can begin to create that natural flow like we used to do with rituals and things, that's gonna give us a lot of mileage.
Beautiful. Rev Michele.
Yeah, no, I went in a different direction, Z, so we're good. And here's what I want to encourage every listener to do. That wherever you are, ask yourself, what is it you want to leave in the room? And be that. Or what is it you want to leave in the conversation? And speak that. So that you're always conscious of the imprint that you leave wherever you are. And hopefully the imprint is healing, is filled with love, and that it provides a space for people to rise up together, because we are stronger together. Yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you, dear one. Oh, thank you. That's you remind me, and I'm hearing that a lot in a lot of places. We have to be conscious of the vibration, the energy we're bringing to the room, and how we will be remembered for that energy. How people will look back and say, he brought this, she brought that, she was so much of this, he was so much of that. So let's be love. Let's be love out there.
Okay, I want the song now.
Yes.
What's the song? What is the song? Let's Be Loved. What? Come on, Z.
All we need is love. That one.
Well, that one too.
That one, there's the all we need but love. I mean,
I
because
think
love is
we've got-
just a synonym for the divine anyway.
Yeah.
I'll do a little digging in the archives. We'll consult our friends over at the radio station and make sure we have that queued up for next time.
It's a reggae song. It's a reggae song. Would you be loved? Would you be loved?
Would you be loved?
It's,
Okay,
yeah, Bob Marley. That's what it is.
there you go. Would you
Or
be
the Bob
loved?
Marley song, Would You Be Loved?
Yeah. That's the one. Yeah, I like that.
Now we've got it.
Yes.
All right. I promise to have that queued up for your next visit with us.
Oh, okay. That'd be great.
Yes. All right, folks. Thanks for joining us today. Please feel free to share, like, subscribe. Looks like someone there at North Jersey is love is in the room. Yes. Very much so. On behalf of everyone here at New Thought Media Network, thanks for being with us. We'll be back again next week. No, we will not. We were taking next week off. We'll be doing a rerun as scheduling for the New Thought affiliated New Thought Network's annual retreat always puts a kink in what I'm doing. So we will be back with live episodes in 2 weeks. Look for us then. Until then, we wish you peace and richest blessings. Bye now.
Love you. Bye.